Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of In the Line of Duty 4, a Hong Kong action film from 1989 that stars a very young Donnie Yen as well as Cynthia Khan in the lead roles. So here's the plot for you. Two detectives who are up to their necks in trouble and getting on each other's nerves try to shut down a drug-trafficking scheme that could be connected with international ties to organized crime. But in the midst of their investigation, an innocent immigrant dock worker gets into trouble when he witnesses the murder of an intelligence operative and then is framed for it. Now, you should be familiar with Donnie Yen by now. There's really no excuse at this point in time to not have heard of him before. But if you're not familiar with Cynthia Khan, her career was at its peak during the Girls with Guns era of Hong Kong action films, so to speak, which roughly spanned from 1987's film Iron Angels till about the mid-1990s, I would say. During this time period, there were a bunch of female-led action flicks that were released in Hong Kong, a lot of which were pretty low budget, but some of them had decent budgets to them. Many of them actually starred Yukari Oshima and or Moon Lee. I'm a big fan of those girls, and I'm definitely going to review some of their movies in the future because they are quite fun to watch. Now, Cynthia Khan is probably a slight step down from Oshima and Lee, primarily because she does use stunt doubles a little bit more often. I rarely, if ever, see Oshima and Lee use stunt doubles. If they do, it's not a lot of the time. But I think Khan does use them at times. But nevertheless, she moves really well and more than holds her own during the fights. In the Line of Duty 4 probably represents her most purely entertaining film, so it's a good one to start with. Now, this movie is only about 95 minutes long, and it is an action-packed 95 minutes. There's a lot of high-quality fight scenes that are nicely spaced throughout, so you don't have to wait long in between these action scenes. I think the longest stretch might be like 10 minutes, so that's nice. I would say that it's not an understatement. It's not an understatement to make the claim that In the Line of Duty 4 is one of the most action-packed films of the 1980s, and that's saying something. From any country or region as well. Most of the action is in the form of martial arts fighting, but there are also some car chases, some foot chases, and some impressive stunt work as well. I remember one scene, a guy jumped off of a building into like a fairly small waterway. It wasn't a big waterway, so I don't know how deep it was, and that dude dropped like 50 feet. It's a pretty impressive shot. There's a few other, I think during a rooftop chase sequence, there are a few stunts where guys are jumping off roofs and landing on, lower levels. So that's pretty cool. Also, there are some very good one-on-one duels to enjoy in this flick, with some hard-hitting strikes and falls. It's no surprise, given that the Yuen Woo-ping is the director here, and he's a legend in the industry who's directed, action in a bunch of Hong Kong and American movies. Also, you get to see Donnie Yen in his early 20s, which is pretty cool as well. So definitely, if you're not familiar with Yuen Woo-ping, definitely check out any of his other films. Just check out his IMDb filmography, and most of his stuff is pretty good. Now, the storyline here, as you may have guessed, is pretty commonplace, kind of a mediocre story. But it definitely helps to quickly progress from one action scene to the next. The protagonists are pretty likable, that's always a plus, and there are a few effective bits of humor peppered throughout. The bad guys in this are a nice mix of different ethnicities, and the fighting styles are a little bit different too, so that helps to mix things up. This was very frequent in Hong Kong, like in the 90s and the 80s, and maybe even before that, but it seems like a lot of Hong Kong action flicks, you get a nice variety. There's usually some British actors in there, some American actors, so you get that. So yes, In the Line of Duty 4 is highly recommended for the action junkies out there, and it's fairly easy to find on DVD. Now, the other installments of this franchise range in quality. In the Line of Duty 4 is my personal favorite. I know some people really like the first one and the second one. But they're all at least watchable. I'll tell you that much. I will probably review most of those at some point in the future, so look out for those reviews. They'll probably be at a later time, as I have a lot of other stuff on my plate to review. But yes, this is recommended, and as always, we'll see you next time.